BBS trip through Tornado Valley. Let's see what kinds of unversed we get to fight as Aqua. The big ones, the little ones? Oh, the little guys. That's not bad. Better to have them than the frickin' ones I can't hit. No matter how annoying these are. Especially with these frickin' gas bastards coming back for one last hurrah. But no, honestly, we're at Aqua's endgame now. So once we're done with what Aqua has to do here in the Keyblade Graveyard, all that's left now is to take on the remnants of the story mode, or take on the remnants of the game, like all the final game stuff, the final episode, the secret episode, and then all the post-game stuff we have to do with Terra. And then after that, we are done with our 41st Let's Play. I'm so thankful. Not that we're done, but so thankful that when all the stuff went wrong with my freaking external hard drive, that what franchise was there to bail me out than the one that pretty much saved my life when I was a kid, when I was a little kid, in Kingdom Hearts. I mean, honestly. And for those of you who weren't there for when I talked about it in either my the video where I basically gave a commentary on my favorite openings and why they were my favorites, as well as this. Back in 2001, about a couple of weeks before the September 11th terrorist attacks, my parents ended up getting divorced after 9 years. Now, I knew my sister and I would wake up constantly to the two of them fighting, but it still hurts, you know, when your family splits up like that. And when we left, my parents were thankfully, when they first got divorced, both went to live with my grandparents for a little bit. Obviously we did too, but my dad ended up taking my grandparents' basement. In fact, the room that I did a bunch of the Let's Plays that I did when I moved into my grandfather's house, that same basement was where I lived with my dad when I would go to spend the weekends with him. And my mom lived a couple of houses down the lane, or not a couple of houses, like a couple of blocks away, where we lived. And yeah, it was weird though. Like, as much as I wanted to see my parents get back together, it was weird that they lived so close to one another. And it's because I have to thank my mom for this, because she was the one who definitely wanted the most. Definitely did not want an ugly situation transpired, because both my mom and my dad's side of the families had ugly divorces before, and the last thing they wanted was for that to happen. So while they didn't really talk to one another, they generally both could agree that what was more important was making sure my sister and I grew up sane. I mean, they failed, but it was noble efforts, you know. And even though they did those best efforts, and I thank my mom for doing whatever she could because of the divorces and stuff, we ended up leaving the place that I'd known as home for most of my young life and moving in with my grandparents, and it took a while for me to get back out there, get back out of my shell and make friends again. Honestly, I don't think I really started to feel comfortable until we moved into the house where I started my channel and everything. And that was almost a year and a half later, so I was dealing with my parents breaking up not particularly well. And And you know, they tell you all the time with this, when your parents get divorced, like, oh, well, think of it this way. Now you get to go on vacation with two parents, and with two different parents. Oh, and then you get to do this and you get to do that. I'm like, yeah, I'd rather my parents be happy. I don't care about the getting extra presents around Christmas. I'm not a monster. What I wanted was my parents to be happy. And the fact that they weren't was not sitting too well with me, all things, if we're going to be brutally honest. Now, when it comes to video games, I had stopped playing video games. I did have a couple. When we moved into my grandparents, we had two video game systems. We had the PlayStation 1, and my sister and I each had our Game Boys. But I wasn't playing them anymore. So I wasn't playing video games at that point anymore. So I just started to feel. The only thing I really could do was the only thing I could really find interest in doing was watching movies, and pretty much just Disney movies, which I was able to do because my grandmother, who was the one I went to Disney World with, thank the maker, she loved Disney movies, so naturally I got to spend a lot of time with my grandmother, which I was really appreciative of. So the thing is, around the fall of 2002, we set off to go to meet my mom's then boyfriend. She never ended up marrying him, but she was planning on it. My mom's then boyfriend took us to meet his family in Georgia. And rather than take a plane there, we basically just drove there. So we drove from New York to Georgia, and in case you guys don't know how far of a drive that is, it took us just about, I'd say about 40 hours to get there. Obviously with stops and stops to get food and stops at hotels, because we ended up leaving in the evening. And we rented a van, and in that van we basically just took a bunch of movies. And one of the movies that my mom had recently bought for us at, I think it was the CBS right by the deli she worked at, was Mickey's House of Villains. And as many of you know, Mickey's House of Villains, right before the special started, there's the promo for Kingdom Hearts 1. And I was in love with that, with the concept of that, and I was so giddy about it. My mom took the time to understand why I was so giddy about it, that it was it's an RPG video game where you take on Disney villains and you're trying to save the world, and my mom's like, you know what? I want him to get that. So when we were asleep in the hotel room, my mom made a phone call to my dad and said, look, I don't have the system. I think it's on a PlayStation 2. Could you get it for him? And my dad had just recently bought a PS2 for when we moved to our new apartment, which was a few miles away, and he's like, you know what? I'll do it for you. And sure enough, my dad and I, it was honestly the last video game my dad and I beat together was Kingdom Hearts 1. And, well, it wasn't the last one, but still. And hey, we got the frickin' mixer thing there. But that was probably the best time of my life, was playing Kingdom Hearts 1 with my dad, learning all the ins and outs with it. Because, like I said, that game came in handy for me in a really important and formative time in my youth. And my dad always gets this nice smile on his face if I ever tell him I'm playing Kingdom Hearts 1. During this whole world being on fire thing a few months back, he knocked on my door because he wanted to know what I wanted for dinner that night, and he's like, you're playing Kingdom Hearts, aren't you? I'm like, yes I am. And he's like, next time you do, I want you to set it up out in the living room, so I want to see how we get out, if we could do it again. We never ended up doing it, but you know what? It was nice to even have the offer. And since then, Kingdom Hearts has been as big a part of my life as any other franchise that I'm accustomed to knowing. Yu-Gi-Oh!, Pokemon, Star Wars, baseball, teams, football teams, hockey teams. Yeah, Kingdom Hearts saved my life. Didn't save Ericus's, though. And it's probably not going to save these guys' lives. We gotta wait for Sora for that crap.
I was told the master was struck down.
Damn, look at Terra's... Oh my lord, he is like ripped out of his mind.
That's right. I was stupid and helped Xehanort do it. The master. He tried to hurt Ben. I only fought because I wanted to protect him. But I was tricked. Xehanort set the whole thing up.
Yeah, this is the third time we've heard this, Terra. I'm pretty sure we know.
Also, he could awaken the darkness inside me. You were right, Aqua. And so was the Master. I did need to be watched. I went astray. But no more.
What else is darkness but hate and rage? Xehanort is feeding the dark fires within you, making you fight. You'll go astray again. Tell me, how does that honor our master's memory, Terra?
Well, Terra's never been good at this whole wording things out thing. I'm sure he probably could have summed it up, instead of it being, I'm gonna end this, be more along the lines of, I'm doing this to protect you guys.
Xehanort wants me and Benitez.
May not have worked, but...
make some kind of key.
Who knows?
But the Master said we can't let that happen. And he tried to destroy me for it.
Keyblade?
Yeah, I'm just as confused as you, Aqua.
Exactly what it is. But it scares me to death.
What are you afraid of?
Thought of it.
You've got the hands the size of the frickin'
Relax, Ben.
nation of Italy. You're
here,
fine.
And we're gonna take care of you.
I may have to fight Benitez after all. If I do, guys, I want you to...
The three of us can never be torn apart, alright? I'll always find a way.
I'm asking you, as a friend, just put an end to me.
You know, if they never went to the Keyblade Graveyard, none of this shit would have happened. They could have, like I said, they could have just found their own little place to hide. What is Xehanort gonna possibly threaten them with if they're all teaming together somewhere as far away from that as possible? He'd have to completely re-alter his strategy. But no, we had to play right into the villain's hands. Blah, blah, blah.
These lifeless keys used to be full of power.
Although, like I said, it will be weird not hearing Leonard Nimoy's voice when we get to Kingdom Hearts 3. He owned this frickin' role as a... Thank you for ruining this wonderful scene, PlayStation.
Countless Keyblade wielders gave up their lives.
That can't seem to hold a signal worth a damn.
Ultimate key. And it will soon belong to me. Keyblade.
Alright, one last time. 3 on 2. I love how Aqua just stands there. Ven wants to go on the attack. Terra wants to go on the attack. Aqua's just like, nah, I'm good. Man, Xehanort's got, like, all these abilities. What does he need Terra's body for? If it's youth and longevity, he could have put himself in anybody's body. I guess wielding the Keyblade probably helped. But then again, he could have done that with frickin' Benitez or something. I mean, obviously he has Benitez here to make the Kai, the Ki, the Ku, the Ka, the Keyblade, whatever the hell it is. But still, how is he supposed to know that his brilliant plan is going to blow up in his face? Because technically it kind of doesn't. He manages to get rid of 3 of the most powerful Keyblade wielders out there. Sorry, 2 and then Ven. Because Ven is apparently stopped by having his head held. Like he's a bad dog or something. And Terra loses by having keys thrown at him. But in this world, keys are actually powerful. Hey, Ven, freeze! I'm a loser. I'm a loser. Hey, Ven, chill out, buddy.
Ven, are you okay?
I can keep going, but I think I should just stop. I was never ahead, but I should already quit while I am ahead. Doesn't really matter anymore. Let's just go. And wrap this baby up, because all we got is what's left for Aqua. And of course, Rizzo the Rat. There he is.